Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are back with another episode of Daily Palantir, and on today's show, we've got two main things to talk about. Number one, Palantir signed a partnership yesterday that was not a direct partnership, but it was an indirect partnership, and it is similar to a partnership we got last week, which led me to believe that we need to have a broader discussion around what Palantir is doing in terms of their go-to-market and in terms of some of the industry-leading AI platforms that they're deploying across different verticals. Second, and this is a piece of news that a lot of people didn't see, but I found out yesterday, there is a company in the private markets that after going on their website yesterday, and the reason I went on their website is because they just raised $130 million in their Series B funding round, looks very similar to Palantir. And I think this is actually very bullish for Palantir in terms of justifying the current valuation and multiple that we are getting in the stock market. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to break down. Let's get into it. So let's start off with the last piece of news that I just mentioned before we get into this whole industry-leading AI platforms deployed across different verticals. The startup is called HebbaAI. And what was really interesting about Hebba, I found out as I was just on LinkedIn, and I saw this news pop up about this startup that got some funding from some pretty big investors, A16Z, even Peter Thiel put in some money. $130 million bucks, Series B round. Why does this matter? Because if you go to their website and you just kind of look around and you see what they're saying, it's essentially a version of Palantir's AIP. So reading from some of the quotes on their website, with Hebba, I'm able to transform mountains of information into insights with ease. Essentially, that means taking data and making sense of that data. So if we go a little bit further into their website, they say you can synthesize volumes of information into clear, actionable insight. You can leverage cross-firm knowledge to drive faster client value. That's kind of like tribal knowledge, the stuff that Palantir talks about in different parts of your organization that it can then structure within something like an ontology and then put AIP on top of it to drive value. You can automate your quarterly earnings review for different advisors and wealth management firms, and you can build agents, AI agents, to review more deals for banks, for example, Charles Bank, one of their clients, to be able to more effectively consume and understand what to do with your data. So essentially their argument is that, hey, we're pioneering enterprise AI, 14 trillion assets under management of firms using Hebba, 1,000 different use cases, 4 years deploying enterprise LLMs, and 5,000 one-on-one AI onboardings. And they have a bunch of different verticals: corporate, consulting, real estate, credit, legal, advisory, asset management, etc. And they're showing all the different ways you can use AI and LLMs to deploy real-time information at scale within your own enterprise. Okay, so why does this matter and why is this important for Palantir? Well, number one is this a competitor to Palantir? Of course, 100,000%. This is absolutely a competitor to Palantir, and it's from what I'm looking at on the website, a worthwhile competitor, a competitor that has raised some serious money from some serious investors, and they're trying to go after this whole enterprise AI space. Outside of it being a competitor, which you're going to have competition, right? In the tech space, there's never going to be a world in which you don't have competition. There's two things that are incredibly bullish about Hebba raising $130 million. Let's start with the most obvious one. If they're raising $130 million, I don't know their valuation. I think it's upwards of $700 million to $1 billion. Let's just call it $1 billion because usually these firms get like a 10x multiple. So let's just say it's $1 billion. If private companies are raising $130 million in their Series B, getting $1 billion valuation for essentially deploying LLMs within an enterprise, which is, as we're seeing, not that easy to do from a safety and governance perspective, and definitely from a hallucination perspective, and making those LLMs useful, connecting it to business logic that drives decision-making, that makes the ROI on paying for a software like Hebba or Palantir's AIP actually worthwhile. It's not the easiest thing in the world to actually build. And that's why these VCs are giving so much money to these companies, because if they figure out how to do it in a meaningful way, there's a chance those companies can be worth a lot of money in the future. So if these companies in the startup world are getting $130 million bucks and $1 billion valuation, Palantir is going to get a multiple. And yesterday, for about 3 hours during the day, we saw this on the market open stream at around 10 a.m. and then going into basically 11 a.m. Palantir was the only green name out of all the SaaS stocks that existed. And it was really interesting to see. This has happened multiple times over the past couple months, that Palantir is green, Intuit, Snowflake, CRM, Oracle, all these guys are red. And I think it's because the market wants AI-oriented SaaS, not just SaaS. It's a common theme we've been talking about for a while. So, and the reason the market, I've been trying to figure out why does the market want it so much outside of just the general AI trend? Well, one of the reasons might be because startups in the private markets are making money in AI. They're getting valuations that reflect the money that they're making. And as a result, if they're the ones getting private valuations, then the public companies that are actually producing real revenues, actually producing real profits, and actually are growing, in a substantial way on top of billions of dollars of scale, right? Maybe they're not growing 75% like startups grow, but they are growing 20% like Palantir on a, $2 billion base. That's compounds pretty aggressively. That is where the premium is probably coming in. So I noticed in 2021 when the crypto startups started getting ridiculous valuations, that's the crypto companies or any type of company that was associated with crypto like Coinbase in the public market was also getting a crazy valuation. Now, obviously 2021 was a bit of a bubble. We had 0% interest rates, right? Things got pretty aggressive. I don't think it's the same as 2021. But if AI startups particularly doing, I encourage people to go to HebbaAI's website. Almost, it seems like an exact copy of what AIP is offering. If they're doing the same thing that Palantir is saying, maybe in a little bit of a differentiated way, and they're getting these types of valuations, that means the broader market, public and private, wants to give a valuation that is higher to these AI names because they believe there's a broader ROI. And more importantly, this is the second part I was going to get into, they believe the enterprise AI opportunity is gigantic. Every single sort of think piece and journalist in AI right now has been coming over. We saw the famous Sequoia $600 billion article that came out last week. Basically, people are saying, where are the use cases of AI that justify this massive hardware AI infrastructure build out that NVIDIA, AMD, ASML, all the semiconductor companies are helping to build? It has to be in software applications. And so if it's in software applications, then where are the use cases? Well, the use cases haven't really showed up yet outside of something like ChatGPT. But if you understand the Palantir thesis, you believe there is a massive amount of use cases, particularly in the enterprise, to unlock value. And that could be a $1 trillion opportunity for Palantir. Well, HebbaAI, which just raised $130 million, if they feel there is this massive opportunity, and if investors are like, yeah, we do believe there's this opportunity, here's $130 million, go grow like crazy, then it might mean there is an actual opportunity for Alex Karp, as he said 3 quarters ago, to take the entire market. That is giving me a little bit more insight on why Palantir has been able to probably sustain its multiple, even if the growth is not necessarily there yet. And now just going into Q2, if they can show the growth, then this can get really exciting for Palantir. Okay, so let's talk about the partnership that was announced yesterday that we did not get to talk about yet. This was a very exciting partnership and a really interesting one in the context of what Palantir is doing and why it is getting really exciting to see Palantir continue to do what they do. Athenia. A lot of people might not know what Athenia is, but we covered Athenia back in December of 2021 when it launched. I haven't talked about it in a long time. It's time to talk about Athenia. Okay, so Arnie tweeted this yesterday. Palantir's new indirect deal, Athenia, which is Palantir's operating system for semiconductors, we'll talk about more in a second, partners with ASNA to achieve superior yield rates and minimize defects during manufacturing. Now, this is a partnership with Merck. He misspelled it right here, but Merck is not the same medical company that we're thinking about when it comes to Merck, but rather they're a German company that works in the semiconductor space. ASNA is a leading innovator in semiconductor manufacturing, specializing in sealing, gaskets, and component expertise. Thanks to Athenia, ASNA can see a full view of how to improve parts, delivering a lower cost of ownership with a better fab performance to their customers. Arnie says here, the network effects are in motion, and it's great to see another vertical platform expanding. And then this is the PR right here. Athenia and ASNA collaborate to boost semiconductor manufacturing yields through improved data sharing and traceability of subcomponent parts. Now, why is this so important? A couple things before we get into what Athenia actually is. Palantir, and one of the bull cases on Palantir is that they are building entire operating systems for different enterprises. We saw this in a variety of different use cases. Number one is with Skywise. Now, if you don't know what Skywise is, that is essentially Palantir's integrated ecosystem in collaboration with Airbus and a bunch of other different vendors and airlines to basically create a platform to allow the vendors, the airlines, and Airbus themselves, the manufacturers of these airplanes, to communicate with each other. And that has been a successful product. It's come out in 2017. It's only grown since 2017. And it's been one of those products that showed you Palantir was not just selling software. They were building an actual vertically integrated ecosystem for a variety of different enterprises to work together in, which could create massive amounts of value. Again, when we say operating system, it sounds like a buzzword, but what it really is so that United, Delta, Airbus, when they need to make sure this part gets to this location or they can do quality control and maintenance checks, they have a piece of software that allows the distributed nature of all of that to happen at scale. So that was the Airbus partnership. It was called Skywise. Then you have the HHI, Hyundai Heavy Industries partnership for shipyard manufacturing. Hyundai Heavy Industries is one of the largest companies in South Korea that works with creating shipyards or creating ships and deconstructing ships. They created what is essentially a Skywise type of platform with Palantir in collaboration, about a $45 million deal over the course of 5 years, to actually make sure the way that they work with vendors and subcontractors to build ships was happening in a streamlined and effective way. Then you had the partnership that we talked about last week with Surgence. Surgence, in collaboration with Concordance and Palantir, was a healthcare supply chain platform. And the idea, they made this around late 2021, early 2022. The idea here was, hey, if you're a hospital and you've got needles and masks and all this different stuff that you're putting together, what if you could have one integrated ecosystem, one platform where all your vendors and your subcontractors load up their inventory? And if you're in Alabama and you need particular parts that you can only get from Tennessee, you have the ability to communicate in a way that allows you to get the supplies you need on time and actually help save lives. This partnership was incredibly important. It started with Concordance, and they partnered with the Mayo Clinic, which is one of the top 100 hospitals in the entire United States, last week. So we saw the network effects of that platform starting to reach out to other hospitals. The Mayo Clinic, which is much more advanced and ahead of other hospitals in the United States, they were like, yeah, why are we not on the cutting edge of making sure our entire healthcare supply chain is pristine, never has any issues, and is working always? Like, we should probably work with these guys. So we've got 3 different industry-leading operating systems. We've got Skywise, we've got the collaboration with HHI in South Korea, and then we've got the Surgence platform in collaboration with Concordance to build a healthcare supply chain ecosystem along with Skywise and the HHI platform. So those are 3 different platforms. The deal we got yesterday is a deal that I haven't looked at in a long time, an operating system I haven't looked at in a long time called Athenia. This is on Palantir's website when they announced this, again, December 2021. That's the last time I really covered it because it's been a while. Athenia to accelerate the use of AI and big data to solve critical semiconductor challenges. So Merck KGaA in Germany and Palantir formed a partnership to optimize data analytics and semiconductor manufacturing. This is a collaborative analytics platform to help improve supply chain transparency and tackle chip shortages. And Laura Matz, who is the CTO of Merck, is going to lead the partnership. Let's read a little bit from this PR. Athenia will bring semiconductor manufacturers and material suppliers together to share and aggregate and analyze data to unlock efficiencies. The platform will also enable industry actors to understand on a deeper level the interaction between materials and processes at semiconductor fabrication plants. The semiconductor industry is facing unprecedented disruption. This has created a critical need for secure data collaboration that can provide the transparency and data intelligence companies need to solve challenges such as chip shortages and supply chain issues. Partnering with Palantir, we've combined our collective expertise in material science, data analytics, and security to increase our customers' efficiencies and time to innovation. By harnessing Palantir's unique experience in building inter-organization ecosystems, Athenia will enable advanced data analytics, in turn limiting the costly impact of quality or performance excursions across the value chain, from supplier to semiconductor fabrication plants. It will also help fab managers faster innovation in manufacturing processes in a single, secure platform. Suppliers will benefit from the internal efficiency gains through the smart data integration and can be a better partner for the fabs they serve. The partnership will help solve such challenges by creating a platform to analyze previously siloed data in a holistic way. So the first thing we talked about in this episode was HebbaAI getting $130 million. What I see Palantir doing and why the market is getting so excited for Palantir is because if they're building entire operating systems, as you can see the last sentence in that PR, the partnership will help solve such challenges by creating a singular platform to analyze previously siloed data in a holistic way. If the core value proposition of something like Hebbia is taking unstructured data, making it structured and deriving insights from that data, siloed, unsiloed data, bringing it all together and then putting AI agents on top of that to drive and streamline efficiencies. If Palantir is doing that in healthcare with an entire operating system, in the airline industry with an entire operating system, in the shipyard industry with an entire operating system, based on the deals we saw last week, potentially in the commercial space industry with an entire operating system, what Palantir is doing at its core, and this to me is the basic bull case, at its most simplest level. If they're not just building software, but they're building industry-leading operating systems for different verticals, then every new client they onboard into those verticals, whether it's Mayo Clinic or whether it's United and Delta in Skywise, or whether it's a new shipyard manufacturer with their partnership with HHI, you're going to see massive growth in these different verticals. Maybe not all at once, it's going to take some time. But as those verticals grow and as those operating systems that are powering those verticals grow, you have an industry-leading platform that inevitably makes a lot of money. And it makes a lot of money not because you have tons of clients that are paying you, that's one part of it, but because the value you're providing, the ROI you're providing to Airbus, to United, to the Mayo Clinic, to Concordance, to ASNA, which is the company Athenia just partnered with, is a value, is an ROI that is transformative. It is something that cannot be replicated. It is one of one. It is essentially going from 0 to 1. It is monopolizing a game that only you can win. And so to me, this is very exciting because now at this point, this is one of the 4th industry leading operating systems that we're seeing. And we have so many operating systems, I even forgot Athenia was a thing. I covered it years ago. And so as soon as I saw the PR, I knew that was Palantir. But then when I really read it, I was like, oh, wait. This is a platform Palantir started a couple of years ago, and it's starting to now gain some momentum. If we build multiple of these operating system platforms across a variety of industries, I think that is going to lead to the hyper growth for Palantir that investors want to see, and that potentially could be the real bull case over the next decade. Because again, you have to ask yourself a fundamental question: how many of those clients are going to leave once they start getting value from Palantir? And if they're integrated into an entire ecosystem where the network effects of that ecosystem grow as the data compounds and it provides even more value to all of the partners, i.e. all of the companies paying Palantir in that ecosystem, this can get very big for Palantir. All right, that's it for me. Thank you everybody for listening and watching. We just got a new Oracle partnership as I'm recording this video, so I'll spend all of tomorrow's video on Daily Palantir. We're getting so much news at this point. I've got to split it up into separate videos talking about the Oracle partnership. So that partnership we got in April, it was solidified today. Just saw the PR. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and keep going from there. DailyPalantir.substack.com. If you haven't subscribed to the free email newsletter, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you everybody for listening and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.